What's going on YouTube? So Volkswagen's lineup has been getting some major changes recently, and today we're with the latest version of their largest SUV. And we want to know, is there anything new this year, and is this a better pick than rivals like the Toyota Grand Highlander? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Now, like always, the best place to start out with is a quick spec dump. So under the hood of every Atlas, you will find a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. It makes 269 horsepower. That will be paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission, and with the available all-wheel drive system, it gets 21 mpg combined. Now, the base price in 2026 is $39,000, and if you're looking to buy one or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now, of course, we're going to be taking this out for a spin later on. On that spin, we'll get things like our sound level reading, and at the end, we'll talk about resale and reliability. But let's go ahead and close up the hood so that we can jump into the exterior as well as the inside. So as far as the front end design is concerned, it does continue on for 2026 with the same look. This was updated just a couple years ago with the refreshed design, and you can see you have a simple grille which matches with a lot of the other Volkswagen SUVs. Since we have the top trim today, this is the SEL Premium R line. This will also black out many of the front fascia elements, although we do still have some chrome accenting. Now, as far as the lighting is concerned, this is a standout feature for this model because every single Atlas comes with standard adaptive LED headlights. These are premium projector LEDs, and of course you have that daytime running light and turn signal indicator. Plus, if you choose anything except for the base trim, that will give you the light bar that connects the two lights together. And then moving around to the back, you'll continue to see a design that looks a little bit like all the other current Volkswagen SUVs, but boxier.
Yeah, and I think it has a little bit of that Audi design to it as well with some premium elements. And speaking of those elements, let's dive in. We have a spoiler up here at the top, a rear window wiper, and then really nice taillights across the back. So these are going to be standard full LED taillights across all versions. That includes an LED brake light, LED reverse light, LED amber turn signal indicator. You also have the illuminated Volkswagen logo on your higher end examples, Atlas branding. And then down here at the bottom, one of the things I really like is that we don't have a ton of cladding down here. It's mostly body color. We also have quad faux exhaust outlets here on this SEL R-Line model, and we have a 5,000-pound tow capacity.
Moving on to our wheel choices, you have 18 inches at the low end, and you move up to 21-inch alloys at the top end. This, of course, is the 21-inch alloy on our fully loaded example today with the contrast design. Looks pretty nice. This is still one of the larger options in the segment, although some of the competition actually does now offer 22-inch alloys. One of the nice things about the Atlas is that it doesn't have a lot of the matte plastic cladding, just a thin strip that's going to go around your wheel arches here, but the lower part of the body is body color. A little bit of accenting here with some R-Line badging, and as far as the mirrors are concerned, we have standard blind spot monitoring and heating with power folding on the top trim.
Now, as far as overall vehicle length, this comes in at 200.7 inches, which is slightly shorter than something like a Toyota Grand Highlander, but it's still a very big SUV for this segment. And as far as design touches, we have chrome on our window surrounds, as well as the raised roof rails up here at the top. Now, when it comes to safety, Volkswagen takes that very seriously, and they are going to give you all 4 active safety features as standard equipment. That will even include things like adaptive cruise control with a highway assist function. But guys, we need to talk about the interior, and there is a 2026 update. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we have reviewed over 2,000 vehicles at every price point. No matter what you're looking for, from humble to high-end, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. Now it's time to check out the interior. First, here's our key fob. We have Volkswagen's latest design here. It has a shiny black finish and a very solid feel to the fob.
probably the nicest mainstream SUV fob, if you ask me. Of course, you do have standard smart entry and remote start is on all but the base model. Getting inside, just grab behind the handle, that will unlock the door, and fold the mirrors outward. Now, let's check out the interior. So, of course, it's got a very premium look, especially here on this top-end example. And talking about the seats, first of all, this model does come standard with a leatherette seat. As you move through the trims, that will kind of elevate in terms of different choices. But when you get to the top model, that's where you move to the real leather. And this has the special diamond stitch you see here today, giving it the most premium appearance. It also feels nice with the perforation running throughout. You have a couple different colors you can choose from and color contrast piping. The seats are also elevated for this top trim. So you have extra adjustments like 4-way lumbar support instead of 2-way lumbar support. And this also gives you massage for both the driver and the passenger seat. You also have memory seats as well. Let's climb on inside. Closing up the door, it has a nice German feel to that. And let's look at the material selections. So you'll have a leatherette material across your armrest portion, perforated leather through the center section, and then we have a wood accent through there. Soft touch plastic at the top. The same soft touch plastic will cover the entire upper dashboard. Again, very generous use of this wood decor. I definitely like the look of this. It feels pretty nice. You have a little bit of piano black through the center section. A lot more piano black, though, through this area around the gear shift, so that could collect some dust. But we've got a lot of leatherette padding along the console and actually wraps down even to the lower parts here. Now we'll fire it up with the push button start. Now jumping into some individual interior details, we'll begin with the gauge cluster. As always, we have a 10.25 inch digital gauge cluster with several different designs that you can choose from, including putting your map across the entire display. Another thing that's nice is, of course, having a head-up display. And this model, you actually don't have to get the fully loaded example. You can get the SEL or the SEL Premium and get the head-up display. Now, as we pull back, we'll find a couple very nice standard features. First one is the fact that you have a standard heated leather-wrapped steering wheel, and we also have standard rain-sensing wipers. The wheel itself has a flat bottom design and is manual tilt and telescoping. Now, this is a big SUV, and you expect to see plenty of storage. Volkswagen does deliver that up here in the front. We'll begin with the center console here, where you will find some donuts inside. Well, at least we will find donuts because we put donuts inside to test the volume and compare to the competition. Today we have 19 donuts inside. That is a very good performance. Obviously more than a dozen. It's getting close to the 2 dozen mark, which is our maximum number. And there's a lot more storage beyond that. So you've got a big cubby right there. Obviously 2 cup holders. Slide back the P&O trim there. You'll find another little slot. This is your standard wireless phone charging pad, by the way. And you also have a couple USB-Cs. Off to the side, we have a very large center pass-through where you can stick all types of loose items, and there's a rubber lining to hold them in place. The shifter obviously doesn't take up much space because it's Volkswagen's newest nub-style shifter. Just pull back for drive, bump again for reverse. There are paddle shifters on the steering wheel. Heading into reverse, here's our backup camera. You will get a standard backup camera. Obviously, we have the 360 camera. That's part of our fully loaded example. Also, the automatic parking system is part of the fully loaded example, and you get that overhead view as well as active trajectory, front and rear parking sensors. Press that P for park. You also have an electronic parking brake located right behind there. Now, as we rise up from there, you have some shortcuts right in between the 2 vents. And then let's go ahead and kind of move into this area. So in terms of the display, you have a 12-inch display. It's standard equipment on all models. And a lot of the functions are going to be inside of the screen or kind of attached to the screen. So you've got this lower panel of sliders here. This will be for your climate controls as well as your audio system. Let's start with the climate controls. So 3-zone automatic climate is standard equipment. That climate button that we were looking at earlier will bring up the full menu with all the different functions, but in terms of adjusting the temperature, you'll just slide up and down on this panel. We also have heated seats and ventilated seats, which, by the way, are standard on all trims of the Atlas. So that's definitely a very standout feature for this 3-row SUV segment. Now, in terms of the audio system, only the top model will get the 12-speaker Harman Kardon sound system, and we'll go ahead and give that a sample. Overall sound quality of this system is pretty nice. It definitely fills up the cabin nicely, has good bass as well. The only thing is that I wish that the Atlas had the volume knob that the new Tiguan has, because they just added that for the Tiguan with the kind of multi-function drive mode controller and volume knob. Certainly is very useful if you don't want to swipe along this and put fingerprints on it. Now, in terms of the rest of the infotainment system, this has Volkswagen's kind of latest software. You can see that it does have proximity sensing, so you reach for it, it adds some additional menus. I guess I just gestured the menu down. That was kind of interesting. Here's the main screen. You can see you have different apps. You also have built-in navigation on your top trims. Wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay are both standard on all versions. Taking a look at the mirror, we've got an auto-dimming one with HomeLink remotes and a compass. This is a new feature that's been added now to the SE technology. So that's kind of a middle trim that is, I think, the most popular trim that people are buying because it's the most value-packed. They're giving you this feature now for 2026, standard on that model. Up here at the top, we have a panoramic sunroof. This is optional on that SE technology trim, but it's standard on the Peak Edition and above. As you can see, you have a sunshade, which is kind of slowly sliding back, and the front panel of this sunroof does open up.
Now we've got to talk about the rear seat area for the Atlas, because that certainly is a bright spot for this vehicle. So first and foremost, let's talk about space. So according to Volkswagen, we're looking at about 38 inches of legroom and about 40.4 inches of headroom. Those are really good space figures. However, I think it's even a little bit more spacious than those numbers would suggest. That would place it on the kind of middle of the pack when it comes to space. However, that's why we brought along the official Car Confections ruler, because this seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8", I'm 5'9", and look at that. We have a foot of knee space. That is really reserved for the very best and most spacious options in the entire segment. So I think you're really looking at over 40 inches of legroom, that's for sure. And we also have room for our feet to slide up underneath of the seat. Very comfortable area back here. Additionally, speaking of these seats, they slide forward and back a good distance. They additionally recline a good distance, so you can take some pretty good naps. Now, speaking of the seats themselves, these are captain's chairs. Optional on SC Tech trims and above are these captain's chairs. It's about $695. If you want this, has the nice armrest here. Just be aware it reduces your overall seating capacity on this model down to 6-passenger as opposed to 7-passenger if you have the bench seating. Now in the center area, we have our own climate vents, our own climate controls, and additionally, if you choose the SEL trim level or the SEL Premium R line like this one, you have the heated back seats. No seat ventilation is offered on this model though. We have 2 USB-C ports, and then we additionally have a household style outlet. Now over on the door trim, we're going to have quite a lot nicer features. We have
quite a lot of nice features.
We're going to have quite a lot of nice features, including rear window sunshades that are included on all but that base example. Nice door trim, lots of that faux wood, as well as tons of door storage. You can see it easily swallows up that bottle down there, and you have room to spare for other items. And now let's check out the third row. That's one of the best elements about this Atlas. In order to get back here, all you have to do is grab this little lever right here that will kind of tilt your seat out of the way. You would not have to remove a child's seat, so that's definitely nice. And also nice is the amount of space that you're going to find back here in the Atlas. So we're sitting at a little under 34 inches of legroom and 38 inches of headroom. That means for someone like myself, I'm 5'9", you're going to actually have plenty of room. This is one of the nicest third rows. In terms of space, it is going to be very similar to the Toyota Grand Highlander. This seat is slid all the way back in its tracks, and I don't have any additional knee room, but my feet can slide up underneath of the seat. And one of the things I really love about this vehicle is the excellent thigh
thigh support. You can see that my thighs are covered really nicely, so I'm nice and comfortable. Additionally, it just has a nice feel back here, plenty of headroom. Now, as far as features, we have a little storage cubby right here, 2 cup holders, another little storage cubby, 2 USB-C ports. We even have our own climate vents coming out of this area. So besides for things like heated rear seats, this is one of the best third rows you can get. So I'm going to rate this as fit for adults. Walking up to the tailgate, you'll have a hands-free power one on all but the base example. And let's talk about overall cargo capacity with this model. Once more, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. This is one of the biggest options in the segment you can get. 21 cubic feet behind the third row of seats, 55 cubic feet behind the second row, and as a maximum, you're looking at a little under 97 cubic feet. That places this, like I said, very good for the segment. It's going to be slightly less than the Grand Highlander. And speaking of all of the competition, there are tons of options that you could be looking at in this segment. We'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. The reason you do that is because we've gone through all of these numerous options and ranked them in the 10 most important categories to the shopper. And you can go through on the chart and sort based on the categories that matter most to you. So if cargo capacity is the most important thing, you can see the best options there, as well as things like technology, powertrain choices, luxury features, and more. So definitely go to our website if you want to make an informed buying decision. Now back to the Atlas, we have a manual folding third row of seats, so you're not going to get the power folding, but it's super easy to fold the seats down. You just grab those levers right there. There are not any handles to fold the second row of seats, so I will have to go up there and do it manually. And now that I've got those seats folded, you can see they are completely flat with the floor, so that's really quite nice. And let me get our cargo length, width, and height figures. So behind Drew's 5'8" driving position, as far as cargo length, we're looking at 90 inches. That is really excellent for this segment. Behind the second row of seats with them slid all the way back, 51 inches of length. And from behind the third row of seats, 22 inches of length. As far as the opening, that comes in at 47 inches wide. Height, really good as well, over 32 inches in height. Let's get our load in as well. We're looking at about 31 inches for our load in height. Now underneath of the floor, you will see a little bit of extra space, and then if we pull this up, you will find your spare tire. Well guys, here we are behind the wheel of the Volkswagen Atlas. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a lot, as you can see on the screen right now. We'll also be getting things like our sound level reading. There we go. But first we need to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
Alright, there is our acceleration to 60 miles per hour with this Volkswagen Atlas. Now, like we mentioned at the very beginning, the Atlas just has one powertrain. It continues for 2026 as well. It is a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, 269 horsepower, and 273 pound-feet of torque. In terms of how that compares to the competition, it's not a class-leading figure, but it is totally competitive overall compared to both, traditional V6 options as well as other turbo 4-cylinders.
Yeah, I think you really can feel the torque. 273 pound-feet of torque is a good amount, pushes you back in your seat. And one of the things I also really like about this 4-cylinder as compared to a lot of the other Turbo 4s out there is the fact that this is a nice, quiet, German, refined 4-cylinder. The Grand Highlander with its standard Turbo 4 is kind of loud and coarse and unrefined sounding. Same thing for the Chevy Traverse and GMC Acadia. So I really like that it's just kind of hushed and premium feeling as you accelerate. It makes it a little bit, more like a V6 experience that you would find in some of the other rivals like the new Palisade.
As far as the other element of the powertrain, we've got an 8-speed automatic. This is a nice and smooth transmission. When I put my foot down, it doesn't take too long to give you a downshift and bump you up on power. We also have an auto start stop system, which is engaged right now. I'll go and let my foot off the brake. You can see how smooth it is. Nice. Definitely one of the smoother options in the segment.
Yeah, and let's also go ahead and talk about fuel economy. Now, this vehicle, power can be routed to the ground via the front wheels or all-wheel drive standard on Peak Edition trims and above. As far as the fuel economy, that comes in at 2027-23 for front-wheel drive, 26, 22 mpg for all-wheel drive. So those are going to be okay fuel economy figures for this segment of vehicle. You're not getting like a huge benefit, in terms of fuel economy for switching for the 4-cylinder versus some of the V6 options. And of course, I do want to point out, unfortunately, there is not a hybridized version of this, unlike the Grand Highlander, which has more power and also better efficiency. It's just going to be this one engine setup in the Atlas lineup. All right, and we are speeding up to 55 miles per hour so we can get our sound level reading. Very good. 55 decibels even is what we are sitting at as our sound level reading here in the Volkswagen Atlas. Now, we don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to the competition. We can find that at carconfections.com/sound level readings. There's a ton of rivals, so you need to see the quietest options. And indeed, that is a pretty good sound level reading for this segment. It's not quite the quietest option that we have seen on the channel in this segment, but it's certainly on the lower end. There are a lot of rivals that test quite a bit higher than that, so you have a pretty premium feel inside this cabin. And of course, we need to talk about ride quality. This is a family 3-row. After all, I think the Atlas will leave most buyers pretty impressed. And the reason I say that is because when you're going over a road like this, is pretty rough. There's a lot of different undulations in the pavement. It does a great job of just soaking up most of the large imperfections, and not much of that makes it into the cabin at all, even despite us having the larger 21-inch alloy wheels on the outside. I will say that some of the other rivals might have slightly better ride quality, but I think that could be probably fixed if you choose, for any of the other trim levels to have a little bit of a smaller wheel setup.
Yeah, and I also like the seats. I think they're comfortable and also supportive.
All right, so what's our slam dunk and airball, our favorite and least favorite element? Drew, kick us off with the slam dunk for the Atlas.
Definitely got to be practicality. This remains one of the largest and most practical options you can buy in this segment. And, that extends to a lot of different areas. As we demonstrated, the front has just a lot of functionality. And then, of course, you have a lot of cargo space and rear passenger space as well.
Absolutely. Now, on the airball side of things, what we're going to say is just some of the technology. We recently spent a week with the all-new Volkswagen Tiguan with the larger 15-inch screen. It also has the volume knob that doubles to have a couple other functions as well. And we really liked that experience. It made this seem a little bit more dated and harder to use. That's for sure. Now, for 2026 model year, prices are going to rise between $1,000 and $2,000 on all versions of the Atlas, so that's something to keep in mind. We started around $39,000 this year, and then this fully loaded example starts at around $54,630. You'll see that we have the fully loaded example. It's a 26 SEL Premium R-Line, $54,630. We also have quite a few options on this, as well as quite a few accessories. $1,475 destination. All told, we are sitting at $58,261 as tested today. If you're curious as to where this vehicle is manufactured, it is manufactured in Chattanooga, Tennessee, so not too far from us here in Kentucky. Now, if you're looking to buy a Volkswagen Atlas or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool to use while dealer negotiating. If you'd like to take advantage of all of that, as well as things like our monthly payment tool, you can find a link to that in our video description, as well as a pinned comment down below. But buying a vehicle is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's discuss resale and reliability. First up, let's talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, we took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Volkswagen Atlas potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'll be worth 51.8% of original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, it'll be worth 14.7%. Now, it's worth noting those are right at the industry average when it comes to all vehicle brands. However, it is going to be lower than a lot of its main competition, such as Toyota, Honda, Subaru. Those types of brands will do better in terms of resale.
Now, the same can also be said for reliability. That's why we designed the Combined Reliability Index, which takes into account several reliability studies from trustworthy sources and combines them in a way that gives you a holistic picture. When you take into account all the latest information, Volkswagen is rated below the overall industry average for all vehicle brands.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale values, our reliability data, or our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. When it comes to your warranty, that's also an important role in that decision. You have a 4-year, 50,000-mile basic and powertrain warranty for the Atlas. You do also get 2 years and 20,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. And guys, that's where we're going to leave off on this in-depth review of the 2026 Volkswagen Atlas. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions as we detail some of the 2026 changes on this model, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and I promise you won't want to miss out. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support. And we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.